welcome back. Today is a What the Hell Is This? And it's The Adventures of Fort Fairlane, which is the Andrew Dice Clay star vehicle that launched and ended his career with one film that came out in 1990 to damning reviews, zero box office, and instant cultdom. Because basically Dice Clay was a comedian in the 80s. He did a lot of different characters. He was also an actor. You saw him in, and he was in Crime Story for a little bit and did different things. But he created this character called the Dice Man, which is a parody of macho excess that suddenly took off. So he ran with it as long as he could to make some money off it. But this character was misogynistic, just a creep. And everybody, and apparently originally what would happen was it would do a various bunch, 4 or 5 characters within a show, and this was one of them. And you'd realise it was an actor playing these characters. But the fans of this character just wanted this character. They did not want all the other stuff. So he ran with it for a bit. Then it flamed out, and he was no longer popular for a long time. And then he came back as an actor again, comedian thing. Yeah. So within this run, he did one film, The Adventures of Fort Fairlane, which was based on a character that was already existing as some short stories. They wrote a screenplay for it that wasn't going very well, so they brought in Daniel Waters, who'd just come off Heathers, to rewrite the screenplay under Joe Silver's supervision for Andrew Dice Clay. Now, Waters, there's a podcast that's just been released about 2 months ago. I'll put a link to it with this video talking about the development of this film, because Waters got into it all where when he was offered the job, he was starving because he just come off Heathers and that was a low budget film, and he barely had the money to go and meet Dice Clay to get the gig. And so it was a job. And then of course he would go on to work with Joe Silver quite a few times, because he went straight onto that from this to Hudson Hawk, and then he went on to do that from Hudson Hawk to Batman Returns, and then which was not Joe Silver. And then he went on from that to Demolition Man. So he did a run with Joe Silver, and basically Fort Fairlane's the worst of the 3 films he did. But Demolition Man's well regarded now. Batman Returns is well regarded now. Hudson Hawk is a bona fide cult classic, pretty much from the moment it was released. And some people didn't know it from the moment it was released, but anyone who saw it and released knew cult classic. That's a cult movie. And I think that's Daniel Waters' area, cult movie. He does eccentric movies. And I wish he'd done more of them, because he had his interesting voice that's just odd. That we could do more of those kind of odd movies. So basically, this is a film they were going to make. They just asked him to rewrite it, and he rewrote it for Andrew Dice Clay. Now, in the interview, you find out he was trying to write it as a Spectre Clouseau character, a guy who didn't know anything, and it was a basic parody of detective films. And if you watch the film, you can kind of see that this guy doesn't know anything. But obviously, what happened was they kept on cutting the exposition scenes out, because you need the exposition scenes in a detective story, but you don't want too many when you want the mystery to be what's driving you. Why is this happening? Why is this happening? Why is this happening? And at a certain point, they said there was meant to be a warehouse scene where all the exposition came together and explained it all, and you get the explanation dump, and then you can go and finish the narrative off. And that scene get cut out for budget reasons, because there's a choice between that and a sleazy scene, and they chose to shoot the sleazy scene, and so basically they did a voiceover. Now this was directed by Rennie Harlan after Nightmare on Elm Street 4, before he did Die Hard 2, when Fox were really high on him. But it was for for a Fox movie, this was kind of fairly low budget. It was a medium budget film. It was not. It was one of those films that was going to make its money back if in the long term quite easily, because it was never going to. So even though the film didn't do that great, it didn't cost that much either. So I'm sure they were into profit pretty quickly because of all the Dice Clay fans that would have probably quickly rented it out eventually. So it wasn't like a massive bet. And Harlan with Die Hard 2 made so much money, and his other films had made so much money, didn't really matter. So the film came out and bombed, and the person who fell most was Dice Clay, because it was his big vehicle and he lost out. But the film itself is weird. Some of it's awful, and some of it is actually not bad. It's weird, because again from the podcast you find out that he wrote his dialogue scenes, then the actors will come on and change most of it, and it was like, what was my dialogue? So they just stick to the plot, but then they ignore the dialogue. So I was like, okay. So you get scenes where you can tell, if you know Daniel Waters films, that some actors are following the dialogue and the weird beats and the weird character beats that he does. There's Lauren Holly plays the secretary of Fort Fairlane, and she's like a Daniel Waters character, just weird character. And then there's other ones like Dice Clay and Gilbert Gottlieb who are not playing those characters, who are playing something different, that invent stuff as they go along. So it just is weird. Like there's also funny stuff with this kid. They're trying to Mickey out the kid sidekick, you know, which does turn into part of the plot as well later on. It all ties in. So there's lots of stuff. If you've seen Joel Silver films, there's stuff you know he likes that are in this film. I mean, he produced the year after this. He produced 2 films. One was Hudson Hawk, which was a massive bomb, but it was written by Daniel Waters, which is all the eccentric stuff, plus a lot of weird actor improvisation stuff that you get in this film too. I think because Waters writes so big, the actors think they can just go further, and it's like, no, you should really pull it back and just stick to the script. And then he also did The Last Boy Scout, which was another culty film that actually did well. It's written by Shane Black, and it had a lot of the similar things you get here, but it was much more successful, much more well respected. And with Black, he would go on and produce films like The Nice Guys and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, where also these kind of weird plots which are similar to what you're getting in Fort Fairlane, but done much better. Fort Fairlane is the one that's not done as well, but there's some nice things in it. I mean, there's the whole plot really ties into artists being ripped off by the music producers, and music producers putting out singles with people who cannot sing. I wonder if they still do that, you know. And there's lots of weird things like Fairlane shames the singer, and there's this big rock and roll song in the middle of the film, which is really weird, but it works. And there's lots of bits like that in the film where it's really weird, but it works. And then there's other stuff where you can tell the actors will let do what they want, and it was like, none of these jokes are funny. Because, I mean, the voiceover makes everything very confusing, because it's a voiceover from a character of Fort Fairlane played by Andrew Dice Clay that's in his voice that is very obnoxious and very annoying, and it's like annoys the hell out of you, and it's giving you all this information. And then you see in the film the character is much more eccentric and a lot less like that character he's the right to promote because he's popular. And it feels there's a mismatch where they're trying to course correct through the film to make him much more like the on-screen, on-stage character, and not all that stuff ruins the film because it makes the character much more obnoxious. And this is one of the most obnoxious characters possible. But originally, I think that was a joke, was this guy, he didn't have a clue. And at a certain point, they got uncomfortable with the idea of this guy not having a clue, and they tried to make him as if he was cool or something, and when in fact is a lot of the stuff he does that's was written is intentionally obnoxious to show you this guy didn't have a clue. And then suddenly you've got basically playing this character that he's done on stage as if he's trying to be cool. So there's a mismatch that just unbalances the film. I don't think this film would ever really work. I think it was a case of it's a quick rewrite of a script that's already there for an actor who is very defined, but what it was defined as was going to turn people off. So I think it was always a bad idea. And they hired some good people, and I think they pretty much squashed. I mean, Rennie Harlan was off to Die Hard pretty quickly after shooting this film. So how much did he really have a say in the post-production? You can't quite tell. Because he would go off and do a Shane Black script with Long Kiss Goodnight a few years later, which is a much better version of what this film was, which is a mystery story, a hardboiled mystery story, which worked way better than this. And Waters would go and do some of the Batman Returns, which was very weird but very interesting. And Demolition Man worked because that was weird and interesting. But Demolition Man had Stallone who actually stuck within the line and understood who he was around the story. And Wesley Snipes would go crazy. But there was a balance there that actually worked for that film. Because Stallone did not try and be... Stallone seemed to understand, oh, that stuff's funny. The line may be funny, but I don't have to push it. I just have to react and it's funny. You know, it's but in Hudson Hawk, Bruce Willis tried to push a bit more, but that added to something to do with that film that made it a cult film as well, which is a kind of weird thing. And this one, for Fairlane, it just does not work. It's just there's too many competing things. Some of the funniest stuff is a chase and a fake funeral and a faked out cemetery, and there's a car chase within that, which is just weird but really odd. It involves Robert Englund as this weird killer that keeps on seemingly getting killed and coming back. And he's hilarious in the film, and it's you wish there was more of him in it. And there's just lots of these other weird characters, this weird stalker from the start of the film that comes back and has been reformed from stalking this female band. And that's funny as well. And there's all these weird bits that work, and then in the centre of it is this character that is everyone's very uncomfortable with because it's placed out as one thing and it's been changed to something else. And none of the Dice Man jokes work. They're just obnoxious. They're just oh, shut up. Just embarrassing. And it's just that kind of thing of it's a weird film. It's a genuine flop. It's you couldn't recommend saying this is a good film, but you can say this is a very weird film with a really bad lead character. But there's some interesting oddities around it. It's just that kind of weird mess. Which is why it's a what the hell is this film? It's a perfect what the hell is this film because it's genuinely flummoxing weirdness. But it's still a hell of a lot better than No Scene Sticks. Everything's better than No Scene Sticks. At least with this film I enjoyed watching it, even though it was bad a lot of times. At least it was enjoyably weird. You know. Unlike that film. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you later. Bye.